Hey guys! So I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, and I'm finally getting to do it because I'm stuck here in a hotel room for work. So if you would like to learn about how I found out I was pregnant with Jackson, how my pregnancy was, and how my labor and delivery was as a first-time mom, please stay tuned. So to start off, Roberto and I got married on December 13th, 2014. And we technically got pregnant 3 weeks after our wedding because they go by the first day of your last period. But we actually conceived 5 weeks after our wedding. So my whole pregnancy, I was married, like say I was 20 weeks pregnant. I had been married for 23 weeks. So things happened kind of quickly. So how I found out I was pregnant was I took a pregnancy test. I had no reason to take a pregnancy test. My period wasn't even late. I had 0 pregnancy symptoms. I just took a pregnancy test. I knew that it would be a possibility that I could be pregnant because, you know, we know how babies are made. I just took it. And to my absolute shock and surprise, it was positive. It was the faintest positive, but it was positive. And so, of course, like while I was at work on my lunch break and stuff, I went out and bought more tests, and on my way home from work. And I always knew that I never wanted to just come out and tell Roberto. I wanted to be able to tell him in a special way. So I found out, and I didn't tell him until like 2 days later. And I had all these plans to tell him in like an elaborate way. And we all know that nothing really goes to plan. So what had happened was I had found out that I was pregnant. And the following day, I bought him a PlayStation 4, I think. He had been wanting it, so I just thought I'd surprise him and buy it for him. And I just told him it was his Valentine's Day present because I had gotten pregnant in January. So that night, his sister had told us that she was pregnant. And we were supposed to go the following day to have dinner with her. And I knew that knowing that I was pregnant and finding out that she was pregnant and that she would be talking about it, I needed to tell him because I wouldn't be able to like keep it inside. So that night I told him that the following morning I wanted to make us a nice breakfast, but I would need to run to the store to get, you know, pancake mix and stuff. So I went and I did that the following morning, and I also bought some pregnancy tests. I bought digital pregnancy tests so that I could like show him, and a card for him. So I filled out the card, and I told, you know, in the card I had said that his Valentine's Day present wasn't just the PlayStation and that it wouldn't be here until October. And then I took the digital test, and it was still too early. So it said not pregnant. So I just showed him one of the old tests that I had taken because I took like 100. So that's how I told him. And it was I told him on January 24th, which is my mom's birthday. And we ended up actually going out to dinner with her for her birthday. And like I was bursting at the seams not telling her. A few weeks later, we told our families. We told my parents first, and then we told his parents the following day. I had bought my mom a bracelet, or a charm for her bracelet, and at the same time I bought this one for me. That's the one I bought myself, little baby shoes. It won't focus. But I bought her a tiny little pacifier, and I told her it was her Valentine's Day present. And she opened it and she cried and she said, I knew it, I knew it. And then the following day we went to church with Roberto's family, and then we went out to lunch afterwards. And I had printed off a whole bunch of Valentine's Day cards, and I will insert that right here. So we handed those to everybody. And then we found out that his sister and I think we were due like a couple days apart. So, unfortunately, her pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. So my pregnancy was extremely normal, extremely easy. I had no morning sickness. I had like nausea and, you know, headaches and stuff like that, but nothing extreme at all. It was really easy. The only problem that I had was with my teeth. I have always had kind of not so great teeth. And as soon as I got pregnant, they really, really got a lot worse. So during my pregnancy, during I think my second trimester, I had to get 2 root canals done. So that was unfortunate, but felt tons better after that. But other than that, everything was great. My glucose test, I failed the 1 hour test. I went back and I took the 3 hour test, and I barely failed that one, but not enough for my midwife to be concerned. She didn't make me monitor my blood sugar levels. She didn't make me do anything. So that went well, and my group B strep came back negative and everything was great. So I had a couple of preterm labor scares with my first, and I had gone to the hospital, I want to say 3 times. I know for sure twice, maybe 3 times with contractions. And it's so funny because looking back now, I was like, how did I even think that was labor? Because the contractions that I was having were like nothing. But I was having contractions. They did have to give me medication to stop them, and it was due to being dehydrated and having a urinary tract infection. So beware of that, guys. I had no symptoms of that either. It just happened. So they had checked me at 36 weeks, and I believe that I was only 1 centimeter. I had requested to be checked because I was super excited. My midwife thought that I was an idiot. But I was 1 centimeter, and then I think at 37 weeks I was 2. I think I might have been 2 again at 38 weeks, and then at 39 weeks I was 3 centimeters. So I was super excited. The day that I turned 39 weeks exactly, I was having mild contractions all day. More intense than the ones I had had previously, but nothing like crazy. So I kind of wanted to like move things along, because prior to that I was drinking red raspberry leaf tea every single day in my 3rd trimester, like 3 cups a day. I was taking evening primrose oil every single day, twice a day, vaginally and orally. I was sitting on my exercise ball constantly throughout the day, because at this point in my pregnancy I was strictly working from home because I travel a lot for work. So I was having these contractions, and I kind of wanted to see if anything would happen. So first of all, I took a nap, because they tell you if you can sleep through them, then they're nothing to worry about. And I kept waking up, and then I went to Walmart to do a little bit of grocery shopping to kind of like get moving and see if like, because they also tell you if you get up and move around and they stop, then it's just like Braxton Hicks, it's no big deal. If they get worse, then you know you're starting labor. So I mean, they kind of didn't really do a whole lot of anything. They didn't really change that much. So my husband got home from work pretty late that night, and I woke up around 3 in the morning with contractions, and I was downstairs in our living room sleeping on the couch because I was really uncomfortable, and my husband snores really, really bad. So I woke up and I was like, oh, this is kind of uncomfortable. So I started timing them, and they were fairly irregular, but they were much more intense than they had been previously. And after about an hour, I woke Roberto up at like 4, and I think that he thought it was another false alarm because he fell back asleep. I had to wake him back up at 4:30, and for a little while, maybe about an hour, I paced back and forth, and we timed them, and they were still really irregular, but they were definitely getting closer together and definitely getting more intense. We decided at like 5:30 to call my parents, because they live about an hour away from us, to let them know that we were going to head into the hospital. So we got to the hospital. It was around 6:30 in the morning. And they checked me. They took me to triage. They checked me, and I was still only 3 centimeters. So they kept talking about how like they probably weren't going to admit me because I wasn't really in labor, and I was getting frustrated. About an hour later, about 7:30, they checked me and I was 4 centimeters. And because I had dilated a centimeter in an hour, they decided to keep me and to like check me in and admit me. And so, you know, they're asking me all the questions about, you know, my medical history and all this stuff while I'm like having contractions. So that was really annoying, but necessary. They checked me at 9:30 and I was up to 5 centimeters, and they decided to break my water to help things progress a little bit faster. Which it did, and things got a lot more intense. And so to help with the pain, I got in the shower, and what I did was I stood with my back towards the shower and let it hit my back while I leaned on Roberto. He was in front of me. And I want to add that when they broke my water, they did notice meconium in my water, which means that the baby had a bowel movement inside of me. So it's actually really common, but it is a little concerning. So it's just something to keep an eye on. So I got into the shower. I felt a lot better. And once I got out, they checked me, and I think I was somewhere between 6.5 and 7 centimeters. I had gone into labor knowing I did not want an epidural. I definitely did not want an epidural. And the nurses kept pressuring me for it, and I was getting very frustrated. And then they started saying things like, you might want to get it, you might still be in labor in 6 hours, and, you know, you're a first-time mom, this is going to take a while, you should probably get it. And I was getting really, really irritated. So I did agree to get some IV pain medicine, and I do not remember the name of it. But the kind of medicine that it was it helped for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then it would wear off, but you couldn't get it again. If you got it again, it would do absolutely nothing. So I got that, and for 30 minutes, I laid in that hospital bed, and I couldn't even open my eyes. I felt so out of it and high, I could not open my eyes, but I could feel everything. So the only thing it did was like make you loopy. You could still feel everything. So if anyone were to ask me about pain medicine during labor, I don't think it's worth it. Just, you can do it without, you don't need it. So I got the pain medicine, and after so long, I started feeling pushy, like I needed to push. And the nurses asked if I wanted to be checked, and I said no, because it was kind of taking me a long time to dilate. And I didn't want them to check me and tell me that I was still only, 5 centimeters or something, or what was I, 7 centimeters, because I would get really discouraged, and I didn't want to do that. So I said no, but not long after, I started feeling really pushy. So they checked me, and I was 10 centimeters. So I believe that it took an hour. It was an hour from when I went from 7 to 10 centimeters. So it was pretty fast. But in my mind, I didn't think that was enough time to get me to 10. So that's why I had originally said I didn't want to be checked. So I had started pushing at 2:25 and didn't deliver him until 3:42 p.m. So about an hour and 20 minutes it took me to push. That was probably, my whole labor and delivery was a very good experience for me. The only thing that I didn't like, aside from feeling pressured, was the pushing. I didn't know how to push. I was a first-time mom. I didn't know how to push. And so they were telling me when to push, and they were counting and telling me how long, and it just didn't feel right. And I don't know how to explain it. It didn't feel natural. It felt like they were telling me what to do, and I wasn't listening to my body. And I do think that that's why it took so long. So he was born with, his chin wasn't tucked the whole way down. It was up a little bit. So, that contributed to how long it took to push him out. Again, he was also born, and my waters had meconium in it. And he also had the cord wrapped around his neck twice. So he was blue and didn't start breathing right away. Now, I didn't know that the cord was wrapped around his neck because I couldn't really see him. My mom and my husband could. they put him on me, and it took him a couple seconds, and then he started breathing and crying. They dried him off, and I got to see him, and I got to see that he was a boy. My husband said he was a boy, because we hadn't known the whole pregnancy what he was going to be. So they did take him fairly quickly to suction out his lungs, get him all cleaned up, to make sure there was no risk of infection because of the meconium in my water. And then they handed him back to me, and he was perfect. He was absolutely perfect. He was 8 pounds, 2 ounces. He was 19.5 inches, and he was perfect. Nice head of hair. I did suffer a 1st-degree tear, which resulted in 3 stitches, which was like no big deal whatsoever. When they had him and they were cleaning him up, I had delivered the placenta, which is by far the coolest feeling in the whole experience, because it's like a really relieving feeling. Like, you deliver that placenta and you're just, you're done. It's relieving. It's cool looking. I got to see it. And my midwife was stitching me up, and I was actually on the phone with my sister letting her know that I had had the baby. So they do numb you when they stitch you up, and it's just a little pinch. I don't think it worked the whole way. I think I felt some of the stitches, and to be quite honest with you, I could have cared less at the time. I was on the phone with my sister. I could not have cared less about what was happening down there. Oh, he was so perfect. If I could just bottle up that feeling and relive it all the time, it would be amazing. I was released from the hospital after 24 hours after his delivery, because I was doing well, he was doing well, and everything was great. And that's my birth story of Jackson. There's not really that much more to it. It was awesome. It was great. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. I did. I had another baby. So yeah. If anybody has any questions or something that I might be missing, please feel free to leave them down below. I am more than happy to answer any questions that anyone has. I know, being a first-time mom, things get a little scary, and like the fear of the unknown, I get it. And I think that women need to be encouraged and not scared. And especially when you tell people that you are planning a natural birth or a birth without an epidural, a lot of people like to tell you that you're crazy and that it's going to be terrible and all this stuff. And I am here to tell you that it is not, and you are awesome and you can do it. So, if anyone has any questions, leave them down below, please. I would love to answer them. I would love to hear everyone's experiences, their own experiences. I'm here to encourage and to enlighten. So please feel free to contact me about anything, about absolutely anything. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can see more. I will be doing a birth video for Zoe, so stay tuned for that. That'll be exciting. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch back with you guys in my next video.